In the last video, together, we updated our post subscription to support the created, updated, and deleted events. In this video, you're going to be doing the exact same thing as a challenge, but for the comment subscription. And the good news is that the comment type does not contain any sort of published property like we have with our posts, so there's no strange conditional logic that needs to happen. Working with the comment subscription is going to be way more straightforward. All right, let's talk about exactly what I'd like you to do. Over in mutation.js, up at the top, I am going to paste in the challenge comments for knocking this one out. Once again, the big picture goal is to set up support for the created, updated, and deleted events on our comment subscription. Now, step one is to set up a custom payload. So currently, we are just sending back the individual comment. We still want to send that data back, but we also want to send back the string that represents what type of mutation actually caused this event to fire. Was this comment that I'm getting back created, updated, or deleted? So just like we did for the post subscription, we want to send back a new custom payload by creating a custom type with those two fields. That brings us to step two, which is to update our one existing call related to the comment subscription. That is in create comment, and we just want to change what we're sending back to support the new custom type we're creating. So we have to add on that mutation property, setting its value equal to created. Then you're going to do the exact same thing for actually deleting a comment. Now, in this case, there is no existing published call for that, so you're going to have to add one in. Once the comment is deleted, you want to call publish, sending that event off. Now, once again, there is no conditional logic to worry about here, very straightforward. And the same thing is true with step number 4. Right here, you are adding a publish call to update comment to send out that updated event, just passing along the actual mutation string and the data. That brings you to step 5, which is to test your work. You want to start up your subscription, then you want to create a comment, update a comment, and delete a comment to make sure you see all 3 events firing correctly. So take some time to knock that out and feel free to use whatever we talked about in the last video, since this and the last video are going to follow a similar set of steps. Pause the video, test your work, and when you're done, come back and click play. How'd you do? Let's go ahead and kick things off with step number 1, setting up our custom payload type for the comment subscription with data and mutation. Over in schema.graphql, we're going to do just that by defining the new custom type near the bottom of the file. Right here, a new type, comment, which is the subscription name, followed by subscription payload. And we're going to set up the 2 fields we know we need. One, we do need the mutation. That's the whole point of doing this restructuring. We want a little bit of context about why this event is firing, and we still want the data. So I still want to be able to get the comment. So right here, data is going to be of the type comment. Now we can actually modify our subscription up above to use this type. Up here, we have our comment subscription, which currently sends back a comment. I'm going to change that to sending back an instance of our comment subscription payload, making that a non-nullable field. Awesome. This is actually the only thing necessary to change in schema.graphql. That's the end of step 1, and we can move on to step 2, which happens in mutation.js. Here we are changing our existing publish call in create comment. So if you remember, create comment lives near the bottom, and we currently do have a publish call. We're not going to change anything about the channel name. What we need to change is the structure right here, like we did in the last video. So I am going to empty this object out and break it out onto multiple lines. Now we're still going to have that comment root property, but this time it is an object that matches up with the custom type we just created. So I need my mutation field, and I also need my data field. The value for mutation is going to be the string created, so let's add that in right here. And the value for data is going to be our comment, which I have in the comment variable. Awesome. So now step 2 is done, and we should be correctly notified about newly created comments. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step, step 3, which is to change delete comment. Right now, delete comment does not have a pub sub publish call, so I am going to go ahead and destructure it and add one in. I'm going to grab pub sub from the context object. Down below, just like we did for our posts, I am going to destructure this array, grabbing the first item and creating an individual variable for it. I'm going to call that one deleted comment, And that's going to allow me to use deleted comment down below, as opposed to needing to grab it off the array every single time I want to access it. Awesome. Now, this was not a necessary step. If you left things as they were in regards to what I just changed, that's fine too. All that's important is that you added the pub_sub.publish call into the mix. Right here, we have to specify the correct channel name. Remember, it's comment space followed by the post ID. So comment space, and I can grab the post ID off of deleted comment. Right here, deleted comment.post contains that data, and then we provide the second argument, our object. We set up that root comment property. We set up our mutation value. In this case, we are deleting some data, so I will set the value equal to deleted. And then finally, we set up data, passing in the deleted comment. Excellent. And that is it for step number 3. Our delete comment mutation method is all set up. That brings us to step number 4. The last method to change is update comment. Once again, we do need to destructure pub_sub since there is no existing publish call inside of here. Then down below, we can use pub_sub.publish. We are going to pass in that channel name. So once again, comment space followed by the comment post ID. Now the post ID is available on comment.post. Then we're going to set up the object. We have our root comment property. On there, we have a mutation property, and for this one, we are going to send back our little updated event, and finally, we have our data, which comes from the comment variable. So right here, comment. Perfect. That is done for step 4, and that brings us to the final step, which is to actually test all of this out. So I want to go through the process of creating, updating, and then deleting a comment, making sure the event fires correctly. I'm going to switch over to my comment subscription tab, and before I can actually start this one up, I am going to need to change what I'm requesting, since in this case, ID, text, and author no longer exist directly on here. Instead, what we have is mutation, which I am going to grab, and we also have data. On data, that's where we can grab things about the comment, like its ID, the text, and some info about the author. I'll grab the author's ID and the author's name. Now, if I refresh the schema, this should become a valid operation. Here it is indeed valid. And the last thing I'm going to do is change this post ID to the ID of a post that is actually published. I'm going to use either 10 or 12. I'll stick with 10. Now, if I fire this off, we should start the listening process. Down below, it does say it's listening, which is great. And now we can move into our other tabs and actually create, update, and delete a comment. I'm going to start by creating a comment using my create comment mutation. Now in this case, it's the wrong post ID. I'm going to switch this over to making a comment on the post with an ID of 10. Now if I fire this off, the comment was indeed created, and I should be able to see that event over in my subscription tab. I'm going to click over to that and look for that new event to fire. Right here, we can indeed see the created event where we have all of the correct data. Now let's go ahead and actually grab this comment ID. I'm going to use this for my other tests. Next up, I am going to update a comment. Right here, the comment has the ID of the ID I just copied. I'm going to change the text to something like, "This is my new comment text," with a couple of exclamation marks. And if I send that off, we can see the operation did appear to succeed. And over inside of the comment tab, we should have our second event firing with a mutation value of updated. And there we go. We have our mutation value set correctly, and we have our new comment text showing up. Last up, what do we have? Well, we have our delete comment event. Right here, we have delete comment, the mutation. We're going to delete the comment we created. I'm going to paste in that same ID, the same ID I used for updating the comment. We're going to fire that off. We do indeed get our deleted comment data back. And if I head over to that subscription tab, we should have our third and final event showing up. Right here, we have our deleted event as expected. We can see the exact data, and we can see the actual event type. The mutation type was indeed deleted. So there we go. We now have both of our subscriptions, and they're actually useful for keeping the front end up to date. If a front-end client actually subscribed to the comments for a post, it could render new comments when they're created, it could update existing ones when they're updated, and it could delete comments from the rendered output when a comment is marked as deleted. That's where we're going to stop for this video. The challenge is now over and our 2 subscriptions are working really, really well. There are still a couple of videos left for this section. There are a few things that I still want to take the time to talk about. I'm excited to get to those, so let's go ahead and jump right into the next video and talk about the enums type.